I want to share a little bit about my morning practice. In the morning, of course, I drink my magic cocktail. I already shared about it in another video, TikTok video. So usually while I'm drinking my magic cocktail and kind of like after waking up, drinking this mixture and sitting in my bed or on the couch, and before I go into inquiry, that's my morning practice, like waking up, drinking some healthy shake, and then kind of like doing inquiry. But a very important part of self-inquiry, aka somatic processing, is that in the beginning, I just sit with myself. I'm sitting in the bed and I kind of just practice allowing and feeling what's present in my experience, even if it's an unpleasant feeling, even if it's contraction or a tension in the body. I'm just sitting in this allowing as this allowing space for my experience. And even if it's in the head or in the chest or in the belly, I feel some emotion or I feel some contraction or tension. I just kind of try to allow the open space for that sensation, let's say, and kind of just receiving that sensation or emotion in my body. It's kind of just like being present fully in my inner body from head to toes, and kind of, it's like wherever I feel something, I just gently allow it in my body, in my experience. And everything feels as if it's the first time that I feel, because it's so good to feel it. I don't know how to explain. So everything feels as a fresh energy, as if it's the first time that I feel this energy. Everything feels so new in my experience. If I approach if I approach it in that way. And I just notice how much openness can be there with that sensation in the head. And just opening a little bit more and more with every breath as I'm feeling into that sensation. Again, even if it's resistance, tension, or a strong emotional charge, or if it's in the belly, I just feel into it and just sense how, and I just notice and sense how much openness can be there with it. As if there is a dry sponge, like a sensation that's unfelt or unconscious. There is this dry sponge, and I fill it with water gradually. And then it like relaxes a little bit. And it's kind of like the sensation as I feel into it as this open space and bringing openness into it and feeling into it, it just kind of relaxes. And I don't have to do anything with it. It's not about processing or inquiry yet. It's just I want to start inquiry from this connected place. And as I feel into these different sensations in my inner body, they relax more and more. And when there is like this, it's kind of like feeling into it and bringing more openness into that sensation. It feels as if this I build this connection arise. I'm not even building it, but this connection arise with the sensation, and this sense of separation or the illusion of separation within that sensation kind of like relaxes or vanishes. And that's what I call love, when I feel this connection and when there is this illusion of separation relaxes or vanishes. That's when I can say it feels as if there is love with it, just because there's no separation anymore. So I kind of like, I don't believe in intentionally loving something. It's more like being the allowing space for this initially unpleasant feeling in my body mind. And when this connection is there, I feel that that is love. But there is no intentional loving. It's just focusing on building that connection with it just by allowing it. And usually from there, as I sit with this, let's call meditation, I don't know, it's kind of similar to Scott's new meditations. It's kind of like not rejecting this tension or resistance or unpleasant feeling or repression in the body, that unpleasantness in the emotion or the sensation, that what I also call like repression. It's kind of like going with it, following it, opening to it, something like this. And from this place, from this inner connectedness, after spending some time with it, from here I go into inquiry. But I'm not going intentionally into inquiry. It's just, it goes deeper from this inner connectedness. So the sensation starts to speak. And from that point, the unconsciousness of that sensation wants to come up. So until now, with this kind of meditation or something, everything arises, and I connect with everything and allow everything that's already there in my experience, that's already there in my presence and awareness. It's already there in my presence. And from there, the emotion or the sensation starts to speak. I just hear words, or I see words through that sensation, like in the belly, like the image of someone pops up from my childhood. And then I feel like this anger, like I'm angry that this person hates me and I'm not accepted, I'm angry about it. And the words which are coming from the sensation are like the thought processes or the words that's coming through that sensation, what we call programming within the Kilobi inquiries. That's what we call programming, the unconscious words. So I've been doing repression, emotional repression work for a while. So for me, it easily comes up. But of course, I have to bring up the unconscious part or the words, the programming that's running through that sensation. Because before repression work, I wasn't even aware of those emotions because they were completely repressed. But now they easily come to the surface. Surface means into my experience in my body and presence, this present awareness. But I have to, from here, after being aware of what's happening in my experience by itself and connecting with it, and this love and inner connectedness arise, from there I go into self-inquiry, aka somatic processing, that the word starts to come up. And from there, as I hear the words running through the sensation, I have to be angry that she hates me. And I feel unmet. There is like, I'm not accepted, and I'm angry that she hates me. I'm angry about it, that she doesn't accept me. Being accepted is the unmet need, for example. That's already an inquiry. I'm not going to go into it because I don't want to trigger something that you can't process on your own. But that's how I go into inquiry. Like something starts to come up by itself, and then I prompt it up with different inquiries. And I start to work with the repression by the repression that's running through that sensation, starting with simple reverse statements, reverse inquiries, like I can express this anger to her about it, and then I feel the no that gets activated in there. So there I start to prompt up or rev up other thought processes, aka programming that's running there, that blocks me from expressing the anger and power and my words. That's my biggest repression. And from there, I work with the repression, and then I also go to the frozen fear. That's the root of that repression, because if I express my power or my anger, then something happens, and then it's like an unconscious remembrance. And then I have to feel something that I'm really afraid to feel. Like I'm afraid to feel humiliated, or I'm afraid to feel being unwanted, feeling like different emotions like humiliation, shame, and unsafety, and these type of emotions. So that's just a very brief explanation of emotional repression inquiry, because I don't want to trigger you. But again, so that's where I start. I start with what's arising in my experience already. I build this inner connectedness with it, so this love can arise within my experience and towards my experience. And when there is this inner connectedness is there, inquiry just starts by itself. Sometimes I just sometimes when something is really on the surface already, I just go into emotional repression inquiry directly with it. But again, my morning practice is really just sitting with it, and from this connectedness, bring it into inquiry. That's how I do it. Because if I connect with what's already there, through that I build capacity. I build capacity through this inner connectedness and the love that's arising through that. And from there, it's easier to go into the painful stuff, the repression in the emotion, the unconscious stuff that's running through that emotion or that sensation. Yeah. And someone would say, maybe spiritual people who see this video, they would say like, that's not so spiritual, because I'm disturbing the meditation or the peaceful meditation and the loving awareness state or something. But what's also important that the repression in the body is not arising by itself. That's why I have to do the emotional repression part, because it's really unconscious. It's really unconscious. All those traumas and all those heavy words and memories and everything is unconscious. And it was fully unconscious before I started KI repression work. It was fully unconscious. And by bringing it up, what's held there within that emotion strongly, it opens up. So I have to help it with somatic inquiry and processing to bring it into awareness, because it's not arising in my experience. So I bring it into awareness, and I process it with different inquiry tools that I'm not going to show you publicly here, because it takes time to learn it through practice. So that's how I work with it. And so by going into the painful stuff, the contraction that's running through the emotion or the sensation, it's not like re-traumatizing myself or reinforcing it. It's opening it so it can come into my experience, my presence, my awareness. And by making it conscious, it can be released somehow. For example, if I believe strongly that I deserve to be punished because I'm bad, because that was my experience in childhood, and it stayed and it remained unconscious in the body, and it became a part of my behavior, like I deserve to be punished because I'm bad. But if I work with the primary anger repression and the fear under that, and the words that's been running through that unconsciously, after a while with the repression inquiry, it just shifts, and I try to feel like I deserve all the love of the world, let's say, like, I don't even know how to explain. These are just words, but it changes in my experience as I bring the unconsciousness into awareness, and that contraction opens up, and I start to feel differently. This wasn't there before KI, before emotional repression work and somatic processing. I felt I was just always stuck, avoiding people and avoiding certain experiences, constantly sabotaging myself because I wanted something else, but my body was repeating the same pattern. And it was so frustrating, guys. It was so frustrating. So I'm very grateful that I actually learned skillful meditation, let's say, you know, because of what I explained in the beginning, that's skillful meditation for me. And I'm actually grateful that I learned that through KI and through myself with KI, and also that I learned skillful somatic processing. So now I can feel the shift, the change, and how I feel in the body could change, and also how I relate to people could change, and my experience has been changing inside out. It turned around, yeah, like feeling stuck in different areas of my life. It completely shifted through this work. Yeah. So yeah, that's my morning practice. That's why I started skillful meditation. That's not bypassing or avoidant. It's making whatever is present in my awareness and in my body, making it conscious and starting repression inquiry from there so it can release and open deeper. And then the experience can be yummy. Yeah, that's what I wanted to share today. Yeah, thanks for listening.